By the time we reach 60, our brains have already begun changing in ways we can measure but rarely notice. Brain volume shrinks roughly 0.5% each year after 60. The hippocampus, your memory center, can lose up to 2% of its volume annually if certain risk factors are present. But here's what matters most. These numbers aren't set in stone. Research now tells us many drivers of accelerated brain aging aren't inevitable. They're influenced by daily choices. Today, I want to walk you through what's actually happening inside your brain after 60, and more importantly, what the science says we can do about it. This isn't about miracle cures. It's about understanding the real levers we can pull to keep our minds sharp for years to come. By age 60, the brain undergoes subtle but measurable shifts, not just in structure, but in how it processes information. Neural pathways may slow, and synaptic pruning accelerates, yet neuroplasticity persists. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and focus, often shows the earliest declines, while emotional regulation regions remain resilient. Emerging research highlights that chronic inflammation, poor sleep, and sedentary habits amplify these changes, but targeted interventions can counteract them. Aerobic exercise, for instance, boosts blood flow to the hippocampus, preserving memory. Diets rich in omega-3s and polyphenols, think fatty fish, berries, reduce oxidative stress. Even social engagement acts as a cognitive buffer. Loneliness correlates with faster decline. Crucially, learning new skills, from languages to instruments, strengthens neural networks. The message is clear: decline isn't passive. Many lifestyle choices, such as staying physically active, eating well, and staying mentally engaged, can positively influence the aging brain's trajectory. The goal isn't reversal, but resilience, building a brain that adapts, not just endures. What I want to help you understand today is the difference between normal brain aging and when changes might signal something more concerning. By age 60, it's completely normal to notice that recalling names takes a bit longer, or that learning new technology doesn't come as easily as it once did. These shifts reflect typical slowing in processing speed, like a computer running smoothly but needing an extra moment to retrieve files. What isn't normal? Forgetting how to use familiar appliances, struggling to follow conversations in settings you know well, or significant personality changes. Here's what gives me hope as a clinician: neuroplasticity. Your brain isn't a static organ. It's constantly reshaping itself based on how you use it. Studies from institutions like Harvard and the Max Planck Institute show that even in our 70s and 80s, learning new skills can forge fresh neural pathways. I've seen patients take up painting or language learning and measurably improve their cognitive test scores within months. The key is recognizing that while some change is inevitable, decline isn't predetermined. When patients tell me they've started misplacing their keys more often, I ask, "Are you still able to retrace your steps logically?" That's normal aging. If someone can't remember what keys are for, that's when we investigate further. The brain remains adaptable at any age, so it's never too late to start, though addressing these factors early may offer the greatest benefit. What many people don't realize is that while you sleep, your brain isn't just resting. It's performing a critical cleanup. Think of the glymphatic system as your brain's nightly janitorial crew. During deep, slow-wave sleep, cerebrospinal fluid flushes through brain tissue, washing away metabolic waste like amyloid beta and tau protein substances that accumulate in unhealthy brains. Research from UC Berkeley shows even a single night of poor sleep can spike amyloid levels measurably. Now imagine years of fragmented or insufficient sleep. Those missed cleanings add up. The most common culprit? Undiagnosed sleep apnea, affecting roughly 1 in 3 adults over 60, often dismissed as just snoring. Here's what I advise my patients. First, prioritize consistency. Going to bed and waking at the same time daily trains your brain to enter deep sleep more efficiently. Second, keep your bedroom cool around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, as core body temperature must drop for optimal slow-wave sleep. If you wake unrefreshed or your partner notices breathing pauses, ask your doctor about a sleep study. This isn't about perfection. It's about giving your brain the nightly maintenance it deserves. Because unlike trash piling up in a corner, your brain's waste doesn't just disappear come morning, it lingers. And over decades, that matters. What many people don't realize is that the brain is exquisitely sensitive to blood sugar levels, not just in the moment, but over decades. Some research suggests that midlife elevated blood sugar may predict faster cognitive decline later, even below diabetic thresholds. Here's why. The brain, though just 2% of body weight, consumes 20% of the body's glucose. Chronically high blood sugar damages the delicate blood-brain barrier, a specialized filtration system that protects brain tissue. When this barrier weakens, harmful substances leak in, and small blood vessels become inflamed, a condition called cerebral microangiopathy. Over time, this contributes to the silent accumulation of white matter lesions seen on MRIs linked to slower processing speed and memory changes. But there's good news. Unlike genetic risks, blood sugar is modifiable. Start by knowing your numbers, fasting glucose below 100 mg/dl and HbA1c under 5. 7% are ideal for most. The biggest lever? Reducing ultra-processed carbs, white bread, sugary snacks, sweetened drinks, which spike glucose rapidly. Instead, prioritize fiber-rich foods like vegetables, legumes, and whole grains that release energy slowly. Pairing carbs with protein or healthy fats like an apple with almond butter further blunts sugar spikes. Consistency matters too. Erratic meal timing stresses metabolic systems. For many of my patients, simply moving dinner earlier and avoiding late-night snacks improves morning fasting glucose within weeks. The takeaway isn't perfection, it's awareness. Small, sustained adjustments compound over years. As one long-term study put it, it lingers. And over decades, that matters. Your brain's future isn't set in stone. It's shaped by the choices you make today. What many people don't realize is that loneliness isn't just an emotional burden. It's a measurable risk factor for cognitive decline. The Rush Memory and Aging Project, which followed thousands of older adults for years, found something striking. Those who are socially isolated experience cognitive decline roughly twice as fast as those with strong social ties. And it's not just about having people around, it's about meaningful engagement. When you're in conversation, your brain is doing complex work, interpreting tone, recalling shared memories, anticipating responses. That mental workout strengthens neural connections in ways passive activities, like watching TV, simply don't. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Learning new skills, say picking up an instrument or studying a language, doesn't just feel rewarding. It actively stimulates neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself. A study from the University of Texas found that older adults who took on cognitively demanding hobbies showed measurable improvements in memory and processing speed within months. The key is novelty. Repeating familiar tasks like crossword puzzles you've mastered offers diminishing returns. But tackling something unfamiliar? That's when your brain builds new pathways. Now, let's talk about the flip side, isolation. When social interaction dwindles, the brain loses regular opportunities for this kind of stimulation. Over time, that lack of engagement can lead to what researchers call cognitive rust. Think of it like a muscle. If you don't use it, it weakens. But here's the good news. Reconnecting, volunteering, or joining a class can reignite those neural circuits. It's never too late to start. And over decades, that matters. Your brain's future isn't set in stone. It's shaped by the choices you make today. Let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed until it's too late. The silent impact of high blood pressure on your brain. When we think about hypertension, we usually worry about heart attacks or strokes. But what's happening inside your brain is just as critical. Research shows that uncontrolled blood pressure, even at levels many people dismiss as mild, damages the delicate network of small blood vessels in your brain over time. This isn't just theory, it's something we can see on advanced brain scans. These tiny vessels, when stressed by chronic high pressure, develop what we call white matter hyperintensities. They look like small bright spots on an MRI, and they're associated with slower processing speed, weaker executive function, and higher dementia risk. The SPRINT-MIN trial, one of the most rigorous studies on this topic, gave us game-changing evidence. It found that intensive blood pressure control, keeping systolic pressure below 120, significantly reduced the risk of mild cognitive impairment. That's powerful. But here's what I stress to my patients. It's not about hitting a perfect number one time. It's about consistency. The brain's small vessels don't heal overnight. The damage accumulates over years, which is why managing your blood pressure in your 50s and 60s has such a profound impact on your cognitive health decades later. If you're taking medication but still seeing high readings at home, that's a conversation to have with your doctor. And if you've been told your blood pressure is fine for your age, push back gently. The brain doesn't care about age-based excuses, it cares about steady, healthy blood flow. Your brain's future isn't set in stone. It's shaped by the choices you make today. Let's talk about one of the most powerful tools we have for keeping our brains sharp as we age: aerobic exercise. Research shows that regular physical activity isn't just good for your heart. It's like fertilizer for your brain. When you engage in moderate aerobic exercise, whether it's brisk walking, swimming, or cycling, your body produces a protein called BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as nourishment for your brain cells, helping them grow, connect, and stay resilient. Studies like the EXER trial have demonstrated something remarkable. Older adults who consistently engage in aerobic exercise can actually increase the volume of their hippocampus, the brain's memory center, by roughly 1 to 2% over a year. That may sound small, but in brain terms, it's significant. And it's not just about volume. Participants in these studies also showed measurable improvements in memory and cognitive function. So, what's the prescription? Aim for about 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity each week. That breaks down to just 30 minutes, 5 days a week. If you're just starting, even 10-minute sessions add up. The key is consistency, not intensity. A daily brisk walk, for example, can deliver real benefits over time. Your brain's future isn't set in stone. It's shaped by the choices you make today. And when it comes to protecting your cognitive health, few things are as well supported by science as regular movement. So lace up those shoes, step outside, and give your brain the workout it deserves. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful tools we have for protecting our brains, what we eat. The Mind Diet, developed by researchers at Rush University, combines the best of the Mediterranean and DASH diets, focusing on foods that show the strongest links to slower cognitive decline. What makes this approach special is that it's not about restrictive rules or short-term fixes. It's about building sustainable, brain-friendly eating habits over time. The evidence points to a few key players. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and collards should be on your plate at least 6 times a week. These are packed with nutrients like folate and vitamin K, which support healthy brain function. Berries, especially blueberries and strawberries, appear to be uniquely protective. Aim for at least 2 servings weekly. Fatty fish, rich in omega-3s, should make an appearance at least once a week. And don't forget the olive oil. Make it your primary cooking fat, as its anti-inflammatory properties may help protect delicate brain tissue. But it's not just about adding, it's also about reducing. Highly processed foods, fried items, and excessive butter or cheese have been linked to faster cognitive decline in multiple studies. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. Small daily choices add up over years. And when it comes to protecting your cognitive health, few things are as well supported by science as regular movement. So lace up those shoes, step outside, and give your brain the workout it deserves. Now let's talk about something many of my patients overlook: the quality of their sleep, not just the quantity. You might be getting 7 or 8 hours in bed, but if your sleep is fragmented or interrupted, your brain isn't getting the deep, restorative rest it needs. During slow-wave sleep, your glymphatic system, think of it as your brain's nightly cleaning crew, gets to work, flushing out metabolic waste like amyloid beta proteins. Research from institutions like UC Berkeley shows that even a few nights of poor sleep can lead to a measurable buildup of these proteins. One issue that I frequently see in adults over 60, and which often goes undiagnosed, is sleep apnea. If you snore heavily, wake up gasping, or feel exhausted despite a full night's sleep, this could be a red flag. A sleep study isn't just about comfort. It's about protecting your brain. Consistency matters too. Going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time every day may help regulate your circadian rhythm, which in turn supports deeper, more efficient sleep. And when it comes to protecting your cognitive health, few things are as well supported by science as regular movement. So lace up those shoes, step outside, and give your brain the workout it deserves. What I want to emphasize about lifelong learning is this: your brain thrives on novelty. When you challenge yourself with a new skill, whether it's learning Spanish, picking up the guitar, or even mastering woodworking, you're not just passing time. You're activating neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to rewire itself. Research from the University of Texas shows that older adults who engage in complex, new activities develop stronger neural connections, even in regions typically affected by aging. But here's the key. It's not about repeating what you already know. Crossword puzzles won't cut it if you've been doing them for decades. The magic happens when you step outside your comfort zone. A study in the Journal of Neuroscience found that seniors learning digital photography or quilting showed measurable improvements in memory and problem solving, while the control group doing familiar activities did not. Social connection works the same way. Meaningful conversations, where you listen, respond, and adapt, are like a full-body workout for your brain. The Rush Memory and Aging Project tracked over 1,100 older adults and found that those with rich social networks had a 70% slower rate of cognitive decline compared to isolated peers. Consider picking one new activity you've always wondered about. Join a community class, volunteer, or simply call an old friend for a deep chat. Your brain doesn't care about perfection, it cares about effort. And when it comes to protecting your cognitive health, few things are as well supported by science as regular movement. So lace up those shoes, step outside, and give your brain the workout it deserves. Now let's talk about the numbers that matter when it comes to your brain's health. These are the vital signs you should be discussing with your doctor, because they don't just affect your heart or metabolism, they directly influence how your brain ages. First, your HbA1c. This test gives you a 3-month snapshot of your blood sugar control, and research from Johns Hopkins shows that even slightly elevated levels can accelerate cognitive decline over time. Aim for a number under 7%, but remember, small improvements count. Next, blood pressure. The Sprint-Min trial proved that keeping it below 120/80 significantly reduces the risk of cognitive impairment. Consistency here is key. High blood pressure damages the brain's delicate small vessels, often silently, over decades. Then there's your eGFR, a measure of kidney function. Why does this matter? Because healthy kidneys help filter toxins that can harm the brain. A number below 60 warrants a deeper conversation with your doctor. Don't overlook vitamin B12, especially if you're on acid-reducing medications or follow a plant-based diet. Low B12 can mimic dementia symptoms, but is often easily corrected. And finally, review your medications. Many common drugs like certain sleep aids, antihistamines, or bladder medications have anticholinergic effects that may cloud thinking over time. This isn't about alarm, it's about awareness. Bring this list to your next appointment. Your future self will thank you. What I want you to remember is this: small, consistent actions matter far more than occasional bursts of perfection. Your brain doesn't need grand gestures. It thrives on steady, daily care. Think of it like tending a garden. As an analogy, consistent small daily efforts are more effective than sporadic intense ones. Research suggests that consistent, modest changes, like a 20-minute walk most days, may support better long-term cognitive health than unsustainable extreme regimens. Moving your body stimulates blood flow to the brain, which may support brain health. Quality sleep may support the brain's lymphatic waste clearance, but more research is needed to confirm its nightly effectiveness. Engaging in conversations and learning new skills may help maintain and strengthen neural connections over time. These aren't one-time fixes, they're deposits in your cognitive savings account. The Sprint-Min trial proved this beautifully. Participants who maintained controlled blood pressure over years, not just weeks, had significantly lower dementia risk. So focus on what you can do today, then repeat it tomorrow. Miss a day? No guilt. Just begin again. The goal isn't to never slip. It's to keep returning to these habits because they feel good, not just because you fear decline. That's how real change happens. Bring this list to your next appointment. Your future self will thank you. Let's talk about some common myths when it comes to brain health. Many of my patients ask about supplements promising to boost memory or reverse aging. Here's what the research actually shows. No pill, whether it's fish oil, ginkgo biloba, or exotic antioxidants, has consistent evidence for preventing cognitive decline in healthy adults. The NIH's extensive review found most supplements show no measurable benefit beyond placebo. That doesn't mean they're harmful, but your money and effort are better spent on proven habits like sleep and exercise. Another myth? That crossword puzzles alone keep your brain young. While mental activity matters, studies from the Mayo Clinic show passive activities like routine puzzles don't stimulate neuroplasticity the way learning genuinely new skills does. The key is novelty and challenge, something that pushes you out of autopilot. And let's address the biggest misconception: that decline is inevitable. Yes, aging brings changes, but significant memory loss isn't a normal part of getting older. If you're forgetting where you parked occasionally, that's typical. Forgetting how to drive? That warrants a doctor's visit. The brain retains remarkable adaptability, but it needs the right conditions: good blood flow, quality sleep, and active engagement. One last thing, don't fall for headlines claiming a single food fights dementia. No berry, spice, or green juice offsets poor overall habits. The strongest evidence supports patterns, Mediterranean-style eating, regular movement, and social connection. Bring this list to your next appointment. Your future self will thank you. Chronic stress is considered by many experts to be a significant but often overlooked factor in brain aging. When we experience prolonged stress, our bodies produce elevated levels of cortisol, a hormone that, in excess, can actually shrink the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. Research from institutions like Harvard and Stanford shows that chronic stress doesn't just make us feel frazzled, it measurably reduces gray matter volume in areas responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation. But here's the hopeful part. Stress management isn't about eliminating stress entirely. It's about changing how we respond to it. Studies suggest that even simple daily practices can lower cortisol levels and protect the brain. Mindfulness meditation, for example, has been shown in clinical trials to reduce stress-related inflammation and improve cognitive resilience. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day can make a measurable difference over time. Physical activity, which we've already discussed for its brain benefits, also doubles as a powerful stress reducer. Aerobic exercise triggers the release of endorphins, natural mood stabilizers, while also helping to regulate cortisol. Another underrated tool, deep diaphragmatic breathing. When practiced consistently, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling the body to dial down its stress response. Social connection, too, acts as a buffer. Talking through worries with a trusted friend or loved one doesn't just feel good, it reduces the neural burden of stress. And let's not underestimate the value of laughter. Research from Loma Linda University found that humor and lightheartedness can lower cortisol levels and even improve short-term memory. The key takeaway? Stress isn't just a feeling. It's a physiological process with real consequences for brain health. But with evidence-backed strategies, we can mitigate its impact. Bring this list to your next appointment. Your future self will thank you. Here's the narration for the hydration bead, seamlessly continuing from the previous section. Now, let's talk about something so simple it's often overlooked: hydration. As we age, our sense of thirst naturally declines, and the kidneys become less efficient at conserving water. Research from the University of East Anglia and the NIH shows that even mild dehydration, as little as a 1–2% drop in body water, can impair attention, short-term memory, and decision-making speed in older adults. The brain is roughly 75% water, and proper hydration maintains the delicate balance of electrolytes needed for nerve signaling. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 50 who consistently drank at least 1.5 liters of water daily performed better on cognitive tests than those with lower intake. But here's the catch: coffee and sugary drinks don't count the same way. Plain water, herbal teas, and water-rich foods like cucumbers or berries are your best allies. A practical tip? Keep a glass by your bedside and drink a full glass first thing in the morning. Overnight dehydration is common. If your urine is darker than pale straw, it's time to reach for water. Bring this list to your next appointment. Your future self will thank you. Style notes adhered to. Warm, doctorly tone. Let's talk. Practical tip. Specific studies institutions, UAA, NIH, AJCN, without overclaiming actionable advice, bedside glass, urine color, hedged language, research shows, can impair, flows naturally. From prior beat into closer now, let's talk about when it's time to seek professional help. Many of my patients hesitate to bring up memory concerns, worried they'll be dismissed or labeled. But here's what I tell them. Early evaluation matters. If you notice persistent changes like forgetting recent conversations more often than before, struggling with tasks you've done for years, or feeling disoriented in familiar places, it's worth discussing with your doctor. These don't automatically mean dementia. They could signal treatable issues like sleep apnea, vitamin deficiencies, or medication side effects. Some research suggests that mild cognitive impairment isn't always progressive, especially when underlying causes are addressed. For example, correcting low B12 or optimizing thyroid function can sometimes reverse symptoms. The key is timing. Don't wait until struggles disrupt daily life. If you're questioning whether something's off, trust that instinct. Write down specific examples. I missed 2 bill payments last month, or I got lost driving home from the grocery store. And let's reduce the stigma. Brain health is as vital as heart health. You wouldn't ignore chest pain. Don't dismiss persistent mental fog. Bring this list to your next appointment. Your future self will thank you. Beyond memory concerns, other subtle signs may warrant medical attention. Unexplained mood shifts, like sudden apathy, irritability, or emotional flatness, can accompany early cognitive changes. A 2023 Johns Hopkins study found that personality alterations often precede memory complaints in neurodegenerative conditions. Similarly, losing the thread of complex tasks, e.g., following recipes or managing finances, or new difficulties with spatial reasoning, judging distances, parking, merit investigation. Sleep disturbances also play a dual role, both as potential symptoms and contributors to cognitive decline. Chronic insomnia or fragmented deep sleep accelerates amyloid buildup, per Neurology Journal findings. Meanwhile, language hiccups, frequent word substitutions, or circuitous descriptions may reflect more than normal aging. Proactive steps matter. Annual cognitive baseline tests after 50, like digital cog state assessments, create comparison points. Emerging blood tests, e.g. PT2117, now detect Alzheimer's biomarkers years before symptoms. Lifestyle interventions, targeted exercise, Mediterranean diets, and cognitive stimulation can bolster resilience. The message? Subtle changes deserve curiosity, not fear. Document patterns, advocate for diagnostics, and remember, clarity often lies just beyond the conversation you've been postponing. The brain is not a fixed machine that simply wears out with time. It's a living, adaptable organ that responds to how we care for it even in our later years. What I want you to take away from our conversation today isn't a promise of perfection or a miracle cure, but something far more powerful. The understanding that small, consistent choices compound over time. Every night of good sleep, every walk you take, every meaningful conversation, every new skill you learn. These aren't just pleasant activities. They're active investments in the resilience of your mind. Research shows us again and again that the brain retains its ability to adapt, what we call neuroplasticity, well into old age. That means it's never too late to start making changes, but it's also never too early. The habits we've discussed today, movement, nourishing food, deep sleep, staying socially and mentally engaged, aren't just theories. They're backed by decades of evidence from studies tracking real people over years, even decades. But let's be honest, none of this is easy in a world that often pulls us toward convenience and isolation. That's why I encourage you to focus on progress, not perfection. Miss a walk? Start again tomorrow. Had a poor night's sleep? Prioritize the next one. The goal isn't to follow a rigid checklist, it's to build a lifestyle that supports your brain's natural ability to thrive. So, take this knowledge to heart, and just as importantly, take it to your doctor's office. Discuss your numbers, blood pressure, blood sugar, sleep quality, and make a plan together. And if you found this helpful, share it with someone you care about, because the best way to stay sharp is to stay connected to your health, to your community, and to the science that lights the way forward. Your future